All right, I want to show you something that I've showed 3 or 4 people who have come into my office today. One of the most important things that you can learn on this project is how to look at something. And I know I mentioned this in class a few times, but I want you to spend time looking at the examples. So let me show you what I mean by that, okay? So go into the Vector Timepiece project, okay? Click on the Pinterest board here, and that'll bring up click to see examples, okay? Scroll through here, and I want you to just kind of look at a few things. Let's look at this one, for example. Okay, now if we look at this, okay, initially you might say, oh, there's like 2 circles there, right? There's significantly more than 2 circles there. Let me show you. There's 1 circle here on the edge. There's another circle right here. And I would say that there's actually another circle. That's either a stroke or a circle. Okay? Then there's another circle on the inside of that. Okay? Then they've got kind of a radial gradient going on. Okay? And then look at each one of these situations. They look raised because they have this, and then they have the shadow underneath it. Okay? Look at how they're dealing with the different things and how the different things are on top. Okay, now let's look at another example. I'm trying to think of the examples that I showed today. This is a good example. Okay, so let's go to this one. Okay, look at this example here. Now, it looks like you've got an outer rim, okay, and then you've got your face. But this outer rim has a bevel to it. And look how they've handled this bevel. Okay, it's very interesting. There are several shapes going on. You have one shape that is on top, and it cuts in. Okay, and it cuts in. There's another shape that's underneath that. And they're showing that that's underneath by doing several things. If you notice, there's a little bit of a shadow here. There's a little bit of a highlight along this rim. And this, that we see that little surface, is a darker value than this. Then we have a little bit of a highlight right here on this rim. Okay. Then there's another circle. So there's a circle on the outside, circle on the inside, and there's another circle here on the inside of that. Okay, and notice that those gradients are different. It's those layers of detail that are going to cause that. And I can see separation here. I can see separation there. I can see separation there. Okay, I see beveled things here. Now that doesn't mean I use bevel, the bevel filter. It means I go in there and I create these shapes. Okay, let's look at another one. So let's look at a student example. Okay, this one here by Elaine Ellis. Let's pull this up. Come on, make it bigger. There we go. Okay, now take a look at this very carefully. You'll notice that the gradients are very subtle. Okay, and then in addition to that, if you look very closely, this cuts in. It cuts in towards the watch. It cuts in towards the watch band, right? And then you'll see that there is one ring, and then there's these in the middle, and then there's another ring, there's an additional ring, okay? And then these are each raised in a way that makes sense. Okay, look at the shine there, look at the shadows, okay, look at the highlight, okay? Let me show you a couple examples that I did with some students today. Yeah, let's start here. Okay, so this is starting to look pretty good. Okay, if we were to take this back to basics, right? We've got our circle, and then watch what I do here. Okay, I'm going to press Command-C, Command-F. That pastes it directly in front. Okay, and that gives me another one. I can start coloring these all kinds of different things. Command-C, Command-F again. I can come inside. Okay, and I'm just going to separate these by color so that you can see what's going on. Okay, then I can go Command-C, Command-F, and I'm going to come in just slightly again, ever so slightly. Okay, then I'm going to go Command-C, Command-F, and I'm going to raise this up a little bit. I'm going to spread it out just a little bit. And then I'm going to grab both of these yellow circles, okay, and come back out. Okay, use my Shape Builder tool, Shift-M, hold Alt, click and drag. Okay, and that gives me this little bit of a highlight. So let's start coloring these. Let's call this one kind of a medium gray. Let's call this one a darker gray, okay? And this one can start to be like a highlight, okay? And it kind of gives you an idea of how you can do that. Now, if I have a highlight here, that means I have a light source from the bottom, okay? And if this is the edge, okay, if this is the glass, okay, and this is the inside of the face, okay, then I can take this, I'm going to make a copy of it, I'm going to paste in front, okay, and then I'm going to create a shadow, right? So I'm going to copy, paste in front again, come up, oops, come up this way, come out, okay, and I'm going to bring that up more significantly. Let's say that's fairly deep. Okay, Shift M. Okay, now I'm going to take this, I'm going to add black, I'm going to bring that to the top and put it just underneath my highlight. Then here's a little trick for those of you that are doing this. I always just turn the opacity down just a little bit, turn and multiply, and then you can add a gradient. Okay, so I'm going to come in here with my gradient tool. I want my gradient to go this way. Okay, so I switch this to gradient. And just draw my gradient vertically like that. Okay, and I want this to go from 100% black at 100% opacity, and I can just crank this up so we can see what we're doing, to 100% black at 0% opacity. Okay, now once I get that going, then I can make little adjustments. But notice how that falls off. And if you look at shadows, shadows fall off like that. Okay. Now, if I want to have this be even more of a fall off, I can go like this. I can grab this, and I can go Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Okay, get my preview out. Okay, and I can blur that fairly significantly. Okay, but I still want a hard edge. So here's a trick. Pull this to the outside. Okay. And then I'm going to grab this again. I'm going to make a copy, paste it in front, bring it all the way to the top. And I'm going to use this as a mask to trim that edge. So Command 7 makes it a mask. And that gives me a hard edge and then a gradual fall off. It goes fuzzy. So it's fuzzy on one side, hard on the other side. Now if I take that and I make it slightly smaller, that gives me another additional rim, and I can start kind of doing that. So there are some things. Another thing that was beneficial is if you have a shadow over on this side, you have your highlight here. Let's throw the shadow underneath our highlight. Okay, we can also take our highlight, and there's a number of things you can do there. With that, you can make this significantly larger. You can grab these here and kind of make some adjustments there. Okay, you can come in, you can blur that as well if you want. If you don't want to do that, you could add a gradient to this as well, except in this instance, you would be doing 100% white, okay, to 100% white. If I can get it, there we go. Okay, and change your opacity down to 0, and then you just adjust this and it'll fall off, just like that. Okay, and then you can fuzz that and you can trim that or whatever. Okay, usually on highlights I'll choose a screen or an overlay. Okay, and that just kind of gives you a little bit of something like that. Then to further accentuate that this is a piece of glass, I can grab this like this. I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to go, no, I'll grab this inside one. I'm going to go Command C, Command F, and bring this all the way to the top. I'm going to make it have this gradient here. Now, when I want to make sure that I know what I'm looking at, I can crank this to 100. Okay, and I can make this a super ugly color, just so I can see what's going on. I'll fix it later. Okay, so it's going across that way. Okay, now I want my gradient to go across what I'm about to do. So that's fine there, and I might want to change my angle. Let's just do 45 degrees. Okay, and then if I look at my tool, it goes like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut along this line. So I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to take this. Okay, hit like that. I might give this just a little bit of a curve, just something along like that. Okay, then I'm going to leave this, and I'm going to get rid of my stroke. I'm going to grab this, Shift M, and I'm just going to delete one of these. Okay, then I can Shift M again, and I'll just click and drag to get rid of those extra edges. Now I'm just going to grab this right here. Okay, I'm going to change this back to white. Let's deal with grayscale here, change that back to 0. Okay, and it fades, it falls off. Okay, and then I can go to my opacity, my transparency. I can go screen or overlay. I think overlay is good, and I'll dial this down just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring it just inside. So it gives it just a little bit of a rim. Okay, and you can start to see that there's some of that action going on, and that kind of looks like a piece of glass. Now if I were to throw stuff underneath this, or if I were to come here and I were to start changing some of these colors, like if I wanted to change this to, you know, blue or whatever, okay, then I can mix these down, and I can choose each one of these, and this can be, you know, this can be transparency, and I can choose multiply or screen or overlay. Okay, and it's starting to kind of look like glass. I probably want to blur this one just a little bit. Okay, we can start to see that there's some situations going on. So, but what I'm trying to get you to look at is I'm trying to get you to look at the fact that there are layers of detail that you guys are ignoring, and what you really, really want to do is you really want to just look, okay, and take a look at, if you have a real watch that you're looking at, okay, then do that, but take a look at these watches, and you'll notice that there is a rim, and then another rim, another rim, and another rim, and another circle. There are layers of circles that are inside of these things. So don't just do one big circle, do a series of them, and notice that you've got an edge here, right? That is probably an additional shape, or at least something going on. So with each one of these, you know, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different circles that I'm seeing just to make this face right here. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3 just to make that outer shape. So don't just think that because there's a singular shape there that there isn't more than one circle. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then very thin 5, very thin 6, and then again 7, right? And up here I've got a little highlight and another little highlight, but inside of that I've got black, and inside of that I've got a little transparent shine. Okay, so take a look at these examples. I've spent a lot of time curating these examples for you guys, so take a look at them and look very closely, and as you put the finishing touches on things, you can do a lot of this without using a single gradient for those of you that are doing a flat design, but you're still doing a lot of detail. Okay, and it's really, really important. Let me show you one more thing. It's really, really important that everything stays very, very symmetrical, right? So here's an example here that we did, and when we started off, there were things that were just a touch off, right? They're a touch off to the left or a touch off to the top, and that's not beneficial. You got to get everything very, very symmetrical. So go ahead and use your alignment palette, okay, and align horizontally and align vertically so that everything is very centered. And then from there, you can grab this single shape, this single circle, you know, that you create, and copy and paste in front, and copy and paste in front, and copy and paste in front. And then if you resize from the center, it'll always be centered. So I'm holding Alt as I resize from the center, and it'll always be centered. So take a look at this one, and look at, let's get rid of this so that you don't get confused here. Okay, ignore this. But look at the number of layers, and look at the little slivers, and look at the little details that we've started to get here. Now the colors are still off, and you know, this is just an example, but look at the number of different layers, and look at the way that we're doing the shadows, and look at that. Okay, so if you can get a grasp on all of that, this would be a good example of flat. This is a good example over here of what you can do. You know, notice I've got my shine, it's inside of that. I've got the rim, that's inside of that. There's a little bit of a highlight, there's a little bit of a shadow, there's some fall off. On the top of that, there's a highlight. Okay, so lots of these things can give you lots of detail. This is a quick and dirty video. I'm not going to edit it or anything, but hopefully it helps.